Who owns an iPad? Have you used Procreate? Procreate Dreams. All right, that's good. That's good. Surface. Anybody use the Surface? Oh yes, there you go. Awesome. All right, we're gonna get ahead and get started. Have a seat, everybody. For those of you who did not get a sticker because you're just getting in here right now, I will have some stickers up here that you can come up here and get one when we're finished with the workshop. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So have a seat anywhere you want. I'm very happy to see all of you because when I was setting up, there was no one in here. And I was like, well, I'm still gonna do my workshop and it's an empty room and I was gonna be sad. But now I'm happy. Welcome, welcome. All right, so first of all, my name is Dan Flores, aka Delta Tango Mike. You can find me anywhere on the internet under Delta Tango Mike. I like taking pictures of myself. There's one right there. I think there's the other one right here. Boom. I was running around yesterday checking out DreamHack, and I found the schedule out there, and I was like, yes, let me take a picture, and then I added it to the website, and it says you are here. So there you go. So if you're here for this thing, then you are at the right place. I've been a working artist for over 20 years. I started my art career as a tattoo artist because that was an easy jump in the 90s, going from pencil and ink on paper to skin. And ever since then, I've been only interested in doing things with my art that allows me the chance to earn a living as an artist and do nothing else. And I've done it all. I've been a landscaper, I've been a cook, a dishwasher. I worked at a steel company. I used to have Popeye arms in those days. And I don't want to do any of those things. It's cool for those who do it, you know, but I just want to draw. I just want to draw and get paid to draw, and that's what I do. In the past 10 years, I've been focused solely on character art. I stopped tattooing. Now I teach tattooing, but I stopped. Most of my schedule is now made up of character art, illustrations for comics, animation, and games. And I got really deep into streaming a few years ago after doing an internship at a streaming company where they taught me everything about audio, video, lighting, background, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And it just so happened that the pandemic hit and we was all locked up in our house. And that was my way to continue having engaging with a community of artists once a lot of things closed down, including Microsoft Store. I used to hang out at the Microsoft Store a lot because you could draw on their devices all day and they didn't bother you. And so since I started streaming, I picked up a few clients like Adobe. So I do a lot of streaming for Adobe. You'll find me on Behance. If you go to behance.net, the Creative Genius, you can find all my links once you dig through that sticker that I gave you. And so now I teach my creative process for digital art, and I use several apps along the way. So that's a little bit about me. If you have a very specific question or you hear something that you want me to explain a little further, please feel free to interrupt. This is not a monologue. This is an interactive, engaging experience where I want you to come away with something that you can use for your own workflow later on. Vector Maestros is the sticker that I gave you. That's the website, Instagram, Twitter, etc. So once you go to Vector Maestros and click on the blog, you'll see today's session in here. And there's a link right there. It's like a little, I don't know, what do you call those scavenger hunts? So you can click on go to the resource page on the Visual Arts website here, and it takes you to this page where everything that I'm going to share with you today is on this page, including the parts where we're going to draw live today right here on my iPad. I will add it in later because I'm recording today's session, and so I will add today's session to this. All right, so the process for game art is no different than the process for most digital art. And once you've worked in enough projects, I worked in animation projects and I'm not an animator. I worked in advertising and marketing projects. I've worked on packaging projects. I worked on a series of beer labels and designs for cans for a company. Like did like 12 of them in 1 year. I've worked with Elmer's Glue and done some illustrations for them as step-by-step instructions that go inside of their packaging. It look like IKEA pictures because it's just no words, it's just the pictures. And so I've had plenty of different kinds of clients that all need digital work. So when we're talking about game art, it's really art in general once you need a digital version of it. So the process that I'm going to explain and share with you today, it can be applied to a multitude of things. And I'm looking at some shirts and sweatshirts with designs on them, and including my shirt. There it is. This drawing is the same drawing that I gave you in the sticker. And so once you work in digital, especially vector, then you can transform the artwork size to whatever size you want, and it's scalable. It will look clear and clean and sharp. Like that's how they do those banners that are out there, the DreamHack banners and a lot of the signage. They do it in vector so that they can resize it to whatever size they want, and pixelation will not be a problem, right? So that's what I just love. As soon as I found out about vector art 20 years ago, I was hooked. I was like, yes, yes, because I don't know. Back in the day, we used to draw on paper. I still do. And when you scan it in, he's like, oh, that's a nice drawing. And then you want to blow it up to a poster or whatever. You get all these pixels, you get all the artifacts and so on. And it's like, oh, no. So when I found out that in Adobe Illustrator, you can use the pen tool and all these other tools in Illustrator to create your artwork and then blow it up to whatever size you want without losing any quality of the image, I was like, yes, that's me. I love that. So I'll start with this particular project here, and I'm going to run through this page. It has a ton of examples. I got to show you a lot of things. But once I get here, I'm going to draw on my iPad with Adobe Fresco. And there's a ton of apps out there that you can use. If you have an iPad and you want to use free apps, Medibang is one of those, free. Sketchbook, free. And there's a ton of links for those types of apps that I have near the bottom of this page. There is a link there. I have a link full of links. It's a list of the apps that I have used so far. So you can click on that and it takes you to another page on the same website, Vector Maestros, and there's a ton of stuff. And some of them are free, and I love free apps. I love free apps. And if you like Procreate and you have an iPad and you don't want to buy or pay for Procreate, even though it's cheap, I think it's like $10, $15. There's another app. Oh, yes.
Do you know, like, at apps, are there ones that talk to me?
Yes. Yeah. So Medibang is one. And when you mean by talk to each other, not necessarily that they communicate with each other, but they sync to the cloud so that when you open that app on a different device, you can see your projects. So Medibang is one. Adobe is the granddaddy of them all. It has a Creative Cloud, and so it syncs the cloud documents depending on whatever device you're on. And let's say you come over and sit here on one of my computers, and you log into your Creative Cloud, then you can see your files that you've already saved on a different computer or iPad or so on. Yeah, so yes, and that's just two of them. But I can review more of those apps at the end. Yes, and then stick around. I got plenty of time to answer questions. All right, so starting with this project for this game. So I got lots of games that I worked on in the past and games that I'm working on for myself. And I'm constantly creating artwork because I'm constantly having new ideas. It's a blessing and a curse. And I want to have it any other way. But I just need someone to pay me a ton of money for one project so that I can not work the rest of the next 5 years and focus on my own personal stuff. In any case, I worked on an NFT project. Not selling NFTs, don't worry about it. The point is that I made some NFT art and people liked it, and it's based on my culture. I'm Mexican. My parents are from Mexico. I'm born in LA. And so I always add Aztec touches to my characters. So I did this and this one. Where you go? Come on. There he goes. And so it sat around for a couple years. And then early this year, I was thinking about it, and I said, you know what? This character deserves a game or a comic. And this is how all digital art begins, or any art, sketches. So I have my drawing up on the top left, the original. And I said, well, what kind of character could this be? That's not me, even though originally it's like a version of me. Anytime you see one of my characters with a beard, that's me. That's me. I did. But and so I said, okay, well, number one, it needs to be let's go. Come on, that's not how I want it. So at first, I took off the beard, and it was like a mature young adult. And I was thinking, well, who wants to hear or read stories about a young adult? It needs to be like a kid. And I have grandkids. My oldest is 8 years old. And so I was like, I want them to feel excited about characters out in the world and stuff that their grandfather does. And so then I started to make the character younger and younger. And this is the beginning of any process. You've got to think about the life, the story, and what type of character this is going to be to kind of narrow down the look, not even the art style yet, just the look of this character. And so I started sketching. And there you can see that he had a bit of a beard. And then Mexicans are not known for their facial hair. Very few of us have full beards. And so it's like, okay, well, it needs to have just a little patch. And so I'm thinking about these things, right? And that's how it works when you're working on character art or game art in general, is that you're constantly refining the idea to something that looks like it can live on. And the hardest part of working on art like this that's in the concept stage is that it doesn't exist anywhere. You can always say, what's a character that reminds you of this, reminds you of that, and it reminds you of this. And so you look up a lot of references, and that helps you along. But there, if you said I want a character like Mario Brothers, well, you start drawing them, Mario right away. Boom, okay, I know what he looks like. But when you're drawing something that doesn't exist anywhere, there's a lot of drawing. So as eventually I got down to the bottom right, I was like, yeah, I think I got this now. And as I was started working, finalizing or clarifying, discovering the age group, the age of the character, I also started figuring out the art style that I wanted to keep. And my art inspiration starts with the comic books. Batman number 1, Punisher number 2. Those two can fight it out. Forget the mutants and people with superpowers. Give me 2 humans, sorta. Yep. And so growing up with comic books, line work, a lot of outlines in your characters and your art. So that's how my art ended up being that way. And so I said, fine, I'm gonna detail this character and see how it looks, how it's gonna work. And all of these sketches, where'd you go? There we go. We're done in Adobe Fresco, and I'm gonna draw in Adobe Fresco to give you an idea of how powerful this app really is. So I got this character down. I try to simplify the lines, simplify, because it's gonna be animated. It's gonna be a game, so it's gonna be a lot of movement. So who needs all this detail? And so and I still go crazy with details. I can't help it. All right, fine. So just when I thought I had the character down, I was like, yes, this is going to be the character. I'm ready. I was sketching on my Surface Book, and I did this sketch, and I was like, well, what if he had a headdress? And I started sketching out some more. What if he had a goggles? And this is where imagination is good but bad, because now I'm taking a step back and starting over. And so I said, well, let me do this pose and simplify it further. Let me do this kind of gear and armor and whatever, and make it simple. So there's descriptions, you can read it on your own later, but basically that's what it is. It's just exploring everything that I'm explaining to you, so what's on there. And so I took a step back and redrew it, and so there he is. And his name is Frank. My brother's name is Frank, so I asked him if it was okay to use his name. He said, yeah. And Tenoch is Aztec mythological god. So that's where it all starts to come together. And I said, yes, this is it. So instead of weapons, I don't draw weapons unless you're paying me because of your game includes weapons. I don't draw weapons. What I draw is art tools. So instead of a spear or weapon, he has a pencil, and it still has the little weapon part to it, but it still has a pencil on it. And I was like, yes, this is it. And it's still a little complicated. It's too much, and I might end up simplifying a little bit more. But basically, I'm pretty close to being happy. So much so that I started to color it in. And this is all in Adobe Fresco. Now, the cool thing about Adobe Fresco is as I'm going through all this process here, you'll notice on the right hand side, all those little squares, those are layers. And when you draw with paper, you do a sketch and it gets all messy. And sometimes you put another sheet of paper on top of that one, a light box underneath, and then you clean up your drawing and do less lines. So you clean it up, and then you may do that over and over and over until you have a nice clean drawing. Well, we do the same when it comes to digital, but all of those are layers, and you can turn layers off and on. And I'm going to show you what that means in a second. But on the top left corner is the list of tools, starting with pixels, and then light brushes, which is watercolors and oils, and then the third one is vector. And this is why Adobe Fresco is one of those apps that's super important in developing the art that you're going to need as a vector file, because of a game, because of merchandise, because of whatever, comic books. Because then when you finish the artwork in vector brushes, you can bring in that artwork into Adobe Illustrator and expand the size, and you will not lose any definition or detail. All right, so this is the part where I break out my pencil and get started. I got a ton of apps now. I work with Adobe a lot. I'm actually going to San Francisco in February to do a live stream at their headquarters. But I love all apps. Okay, you give me an app that I can draw with, I'm gonna test it and play with it. Including Medibank has a beta test because there he goes, for the new app that they're working on that is gonna launch next month. Come on, I'm trying to show off. So this is an example, and I haven't used this particular app on this iPad yet, and so there's no projects in there. But I use whatever. There's Dreams and Toon, Squid, because I like to play with animation. I'm not good at it. I just like playing around. I want to see my characters move, so I have everything: Clip Studio Paint, Comic Draw, and then of course Illustrator and a bunch of other stuff. All right, there goes Adobe Fresco. I have the Apple Pencil. I put a skin on it, so it looks like a pencil, like at the yellow, because I'm crazy like that. And look, a ton of projects everywhere, all day long, projects, and folders of projects, and it's crazy. It's crazy. In any case, there goes my character, Tenok, and so let me show you where we started here. Boom, and there it is. This is that sketch that I was showing you earlier. Before that sketch, I brought in a different version of the same drawing, and it was close. I just did a rough drawing of it, and I was like, okay, this is kind of like what I'm thinking of. I'm letting my inspiration just take me. I want rubber hose legs and arms, but I end up losing it halfway into the sketch. So what you like to do when it comes to drawing digitally is you have a drawing on a layer. This layer, I can turn it off and on. As you can see, it's right there. There it goes. Turn it off, turn it on, or I can turn down the opacity, start a new layer, and while using the pencil brushes, and there's a ton of different brushes in here, but I'm only concerned with the sketching because I'm sketching right now. Then I can go ahead and start sketching. Not that one. Change the color, change the size. There you go. And then boom. Let's make it bigger. There you go. And just like any modern app, and let's do the head. There it is. And see, now I already can see that this is all off. This head needs to be more right there. This is why you sketch over and over and over and do different layers so that you can move things around. And just like any other app, you double tap with 2 fingers, or tap one time with 2 fingers. It's an undo. Tap with 3 fingers, and it's whatever. Redo, is it called a redo? What's it called? Forward. All right. Back to the pencil. And now I'm starting to draw the other elements. And I kind of want to go like this. So now I can fix my drawing. Because sometimes you go by inspiration, and then sometimes once you get the inspiration out the way, you're like, okay, now let's draw this for real. And there he goes. Kind of like this drawing better now. Boom, you see that? So what I'm doing is using layers to clean up my sketch, get better and better at the drawing that I want. Boom. So let's pretend that looked all right. And so what I did was, oh, so he's got more of a back lean instead of the forward. I kind of did like the forward. All right, all right, all right. Later on, I'm gonna remember this in the video. And so what I decided to do with the sketch is to clean it up and do shapes, because character art is like that. You think of the shoulders, the torso, the hips, everything is a shape. And it makes it easy to then map out so that you can do different poses and movements and just follow that shape. So I did that, turn down the opacity of this, get rid of the other one, turn it off. And you see I keep drawing over and over and over on it. And boom. Now I've gone in with ink, it's digital ink. But now I'm using the third brush down, and this is the vector brushes. And I'm gonna show you some magic. This is where the magic starts. Now at this point, this is just character design. It's not necessarily something that's gonna be used in a game or an animation, because you're gonna have to break it up depending on the animation, depending on who you're working with. They're gonna want the arm, the shoulder, the hands, all in different layers and different pieces. I don't have that much time to talk to you about it. But trust me, it's a long process that is necessary for the next person down the pipeline to animate and make the character move. But at this point, I have the pieces that I want. I have the outline. I have some details like, yes, this is what I want. Then there's a trick here in Adobe Fresco where you can select that layer that you're working with. And this part here says set as reference. And once you set it as reference, I can make a new layer. That new layer is empty. Grab my bucket, grab any color I want, and let's go with the yellow, and just tap anywhere inside of the drawing. Click on vector, and boom, it starts to color it in. And I did that process to come up with this. Now that I have the color and outline done, I can get rid of the sketch in the background. And I have two main layers along with these lines behind here. I have those lines there because eventually I need to do the turnarounds. I need to do all this extra work for the character that I'm not ready to do right now. I just want to have fun with this creating the character. This is a part of the creative process where it's cool and fun to come up with new ideas, and then tedious when you have to do all the extra work. So in any case, those lines are there for me for later. So here's the color layer. And I see that I'm missing coloring in my spear. So let's go ahead and get some colors in here for that. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. I'm just tapping. Let me get a different color here. The other blue. Tap, tap, tap. You know, as a matter of fact, I don't want that one in there. I want that and that. Yes. I want this one here. Change that blue again and tap it there. And what's cool about this is that I can always turn off the colors and just have the line work, so I can make a coloring book. Ha! Yes. See? You can always use your artwork in many different ways. So I definitely have a coloring book for this. But most of the time, usually when I'm working, I will do a different layer for every color, so that once I get into Illustrator, it's easy to select the layer and change the color. You know, so you kind of don't want to take the shortcut now, because later it's extra work. But for now, for these purposes, I'm just going to do it this way, because I have another trick to show you. Okay, so now let me change one of these colors, the red. Is that it? Is that the red? No. I think that's it. Yep. All right, let's go here and just tap all of these. And this is just fast and quick because I'm exploring the character. But basically, there are other steps that you can take. It just takes longer. And there are links that I'm going to point out on the page that I'm sharing with you, so that you can see my streams and you can tell when these long streams that I do Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays on Behance, where I go through the long, tedious process. Oh my gosh. Okay. So here's a trick that I developed on my own, because I don't like masking layers. I can't stand masking layers. So what I decided to do is duplicate that color layer, go into my properties, blend mode, multiply. See how it just changed color? I can turn down the layer opacity depending on what I want. Just enough. Let's go halfway there. Got it. Get the eraser. Here we go. And now I can just grab the eraser and go like this. Well, let's make it bigger. Boom. And you see all of a sudden I have a little bit of a highlight going on here. Boom. And so this is Adobe Fresco. This is all in one app. You don't have to go anywhere. It all starts right here. It ends right here. And let's pretend that we get to a point where we like the drawing. We're happy with this. Let me just turn that off for now. Yeah. I mentioned the Creator Cloud, right? And the syncing of files with the cloud. Well, the apps also communicate with each other. Let me close this app for a second. I mean, this document. You see it says Tinoch right there. Well, I'm going to open Photoshop. They do have Photoshop on the iPad. It's not the same as Photoshop on desktop, but it has a purpose. And there it is, Tinoch right there on the first on the list. And I can open that file here in Photoshop. Now you don't want to edit any of the vector layers in Photoshop because then it's gonna interrupt the way Fresco reads the layer. However, the point is that, and it's got to go through the internet. The point is that the Creative Cloud syncs your files between the apps so that you can always access them if you need them. And if I open Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop on my MacBook here, I can still see that file also. So that's a big deal. So here's what we actually want to illustrate here. So we're in Fresco, and there's a sharing button up here in the top right. And you'll notice that it says open a copy right here. And now you have two options. You can open it on Illustrator on the iPad or Illustrator on the desktop. What? Yes. Let's go. Illustrator on the iPad. Boom. There we go. What do we say? Convert layers to objects. Okay. Now, it doesn't necessarily go through the cloud because you're in the same device. And if you have a PC or a Surface, you can use Adobe Fresco on your device and communicate with Illustrator on the same computer without having to deal with Wi-Fi, which is an issue right now. But there it is. We're in Adobe Illustrator right now. There go all our layers. I got the vector outline. There it is. Nice. Very good. There goes the colors. Okay. Cool. And then the line work in the back, and then just the white background here. Everything is in there. Only the parts, the layers that were on at the time when I exported into Illustrator is it on Illustrator. So let's go ahead and open Fresco. There it is. I can just close the app and be done with it for now. Go back into Illustrator. And if I had done this character correctly, which I have other characters I'm going to show you, but I wanted to show you these apps. So this is why I'm going through the short version. You would have a layer for the arm outline, the arm color, arm shading. You'll have a layer for every little thing and part that makes up this character. All right, so now that we're in Illustrator, I have selected all of this layer. Go into one of these, I think is this one, nope, the scissors, there we go. Copy to clipboard, lock these layers, new layer, and paste. Boom, we got it. Now that it's on this layer here, I can turn down the opacity if I want, whatever I want to do. Got it. Get my eraser and do what I was doing before. But now you can see these anchor points right here. These anchor points say, oh yeah, Dan, this is vector. And oh yes, I didn't do the I selected the layer, but I didn't do there we go, blend mode, multiply. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I did the opacity, but not the, and there it is, look. Ah, yes. I don't know, I get excited, I don't know. And so this is one of the easiest processes for working on art for games, animation, and comics. Yes, it definitely works. And let me see. Let me find one where I actually did it that way. I need to find one of those where I'm crazy and I actually spend time. Oh, yeah, that might be it. Ah, the cloud. Okay, let me see, internet. Come on, internet. Let me see. Did I do that in here? Yeah. There you go. All the greens. See that? All the reds. They're all in the same layer and in their group. As a matter of fact, there's 3 reds in here so that I can have the different gradient that looks like a gradient, but it's really layers. It's really layers. And vector, if you're unfamiliar with vector, there's 2 things I want you to think about. Vector art is made up of stacks of layers on top of each other. Kind of like when you were in kindergarten or first grade and you did a turkey and you put your hand on, they have some construction paper right there. We could have illustrated it. You draw your hand, and now you cut that out. That's the turkey. And then you start putting things on it. And now you have the Thanksgiving turkey. So that's how layers work in Illustrator. Second part of Illustrator you got to think about is connect the dots puzzle. Illustrator is not a drawing. A vector file is not a drawing. It's a mathematical equation of dots that are laid out in space, and there's colors and lines between those dots. And so the computer reads the dots, and that's why your vector files are much lower in size than a similar drawing that's done in Photoshop, because it's really a lot of math. But once you start adding gradients and a bunch of other things, then it gets a little heavy. But it's to really connect the dots, and it's about how you arrange those dots and the lines that connect those dots that then give you the shapes and colors that we have.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Multiply the layers when you're are you all of them?
No, I'm right. So I have one red. I duplicate that layer, so now I have 2 reds. The second red, the one that's on top, I change the opacity to multiply, and I turn down the opacity a little bit. Blend mode, multiply, turn it down a little bit so it's not so harsh. And then that second layer, the one that's changed, is the one that I erase. Because now, because it's on top of the other one, the part that's erased will show you the original color of the first layer. And the part that's not erased is what's going to multiply on that first layer and now look darker. Yes, you want to, you want to stack it. And so here's why I have 3. So let's turn them off. So that's the third layer. You see, it's not a full, the red is not taking over the red area, just parts of it. This red is not taking over the whole red area, just parts of it. And then there's the whole red area, which is really kind of a dark orange, but let's see, there goes some black shadow and white highlight. So there we go, red, solid red. Then I duplicated that red, turn down the opacity, multiply, and then I erase. And then I duplicate that same layer again, and then I erase some more. And now you have that. And then I have extra tricks, like add a highlight, a shadow layer, so it has more of an effect, and then a highlight layer right there. Bam. Yes, it gets complicated. Oof. Oh. Yes, I find that a light tone. That's right. That's not going to be true, because all the colors are going to stack on top of that one. Yep. So you want to start lighter, because eventually it will get dark. Same with the neck. There's several browns. It's the same brown. It just multiplied several times over. And then there's the original brown. And then here, let's turn this off. So it goes one brown, and then the second brown that just has erased the edge, and then a third brown and just erased most of it and just kept a little bit on the left right there. And now imagine this. It's not easy. I never said it was going to be easy. I just said, here's the tools. And now imagine the head is on one series of layers, the arm, the hand is another series of layers, the pencil, all of this stuff is layers and layers and layers, so that Archer is it's vector art, and so they have several arms, several shoulders, several heads, several torsos, all working together in one same layer. They're turning things off and on. Ask the animators how to do that, because oh my god, my brain. Okay, so I'm going to finish this and eventually share it with you on this page. and that's where it's going to go. This video that I'm doing today is going to go right here. Now, Visual Artworks is the website. It's just go to visualartworks.com, and the blog is the first blog on the list. And so here, there's a couple of links that I want you to pay attention to. Number one is a live stream series that I have on YouTube that is, it's actually live stream series. It's a sketch to vector series that I have on Behance. And these are all the same process. So I've done this same process over and over and over again, and I have it in my portfolio on Behance. And then I have also a YouTube playlist that shows each and every one of these drawings. So when you scroll down, you see my inspiration, Conan the Barbarian. I think this is Simon Bisley is the artist, comic book people know. I did initial rough of the pose, the line of action, aka just figure drawing. I added some shapes and some elements to say, okay, well, I'm not going to draw the Conan the Barbarian. I'm going to draw myself. And I think that's my next cosplay. Just a big cowboy belt with a pencil on it. Yeah. That's it. And then, and so I said, okay, so now that I have that shape, I do a new layer, and now I go in and detail out the pieces. And then after that is organizing. This is just to show you the screenshot. But after this, I start organizing my colors in vector, and boom, there it goes. And start working through the layers, doing some erasing on some of the color layers. There goes Adobe Illustrator now. And then Illustrator on the desktop, which is really cool because once I'm in Illustrator on the iPad, I can close that up, go to my computer, and start working on the desktop where it has a lot more tools for you to play around with your illustration. And then finally, there goes the final drawing. Bam! And I think I actually did one more after this. Yeah, I did some red on the nose and elbows and extra details and so on. And so I've done that many, many times over and over. Come on, here we go. Close it. All right. And it'll take you to where I was a second ago. Where is it? Right here. Is that it? That's sketch to vector. Yeah, so it goes on and on and on, right? You can check it out. There is a link right there. And I think I did this wrong. So this should go to YouTube, and it's not going to YouTube. But I will fix it when I get home tonight. But there it is, another link for the YouTube. And it's a lot of videos. It's part of Adobe Live. Oh, the link is wrong. I need to fix it. I should have checked this last night. I'm sorry. I guess it's yeah, that's the YouTube video. Okay, yeah. So there is a YouTube for Vector Maestros, and that's where I have the whole playlist. Let me see. Don't judge me if you see Judge Judy, because I like watching Judge Judy's videos. Yeah. Oh, thank you. But there he goes. Vector Maestros. There goes your Judy yelling at somebody. Get him. Yeah. She'll yell at you. Let me see. Where's the playlist right here? Subscription, Illustrator. Oh, here we go. No. Oh, yeah. Just go to the channel first. Playlist. And sketch to vector. There we go. I know I have it. I'm not crazy. I may be a little crazy. But there it is. I got like a ton of videos showing that process. And I refined it over and over and over. And it's one way for you to jump through the sketches, the cleanup, the organizing of your character, and the layers, and then into Illustrator so that you have vector art. Because here goes the rest of the projects in that page. I've been doing that for a long time with a lot of art, especially for games. So of course we start with, I got my artboards, and I start creating the elements that are going to be in the game. This is a game I've been working on myself little by little. Characters and background and so on. And then I have my background of the game going on here. These are different cities. The art life is played around different cities. This is digital pen. I have names for these cities and boroughs. They're called boroughs, but anyways, those are ink pens and so on. This is the desk. There goes the pencil city or borough. And it all starts with those sketches, including some of the elements that are going to be in the game. And they're just sketches. You got to sketch it out. You got to draw it out. Before I get into, well, each element needs to be this many pixels by this many pixels. Depending on the dimensions, I may start with the square, or if I need to have a rectangle, and so on. And but it's always a sketch, and sketch, and sketch. And they're ugly. Don't worry about how they look. You just gotta get it out, get it out. And so as I start working on the characters, there they go. Look at that. This is 2012. That's 11 years ago. Man. I start working on the gorilla. Let's pick the gorilla. And then I start, I go from highly detailed to clean design. And I'm playing around with what I think is going to look right for my gorilla. I don't want it to be like a normal gorilla. It's my gorilla, it's an artist. There he goes swinging with the pencil and so on. I'm cleaning up, trying to find a shape where he can make all the moves while still having that big body persona. And but he has little legs, so he can't really kick so well. But there he is, right? So that looks cool. So that's another part, is going from an illustration and drawing that looks cool to one that's actually functionable, with a body that functions, because that's not it. But I did work with on some games with this app called Koji. They used to make it available for people, of artists, to jump on this app and use the games that are already pre-made templates, and then you plug in your own artwork. So this is one of those games, and so it's just very simple. Look, always has some audio, and I just made this for fun, and this is my artwork. I drew these things, right? Right. So, let's get back. So this is some of those assets that I've created for some of these games. They're hard to see now. But there they go. And then I made the gorilla. I made a very simple looking gorilla here, so I can use it in that game. But here is where that gorilla for that game, I've been still cleaning it up and changing it, because I'm still not satisfied for how it would look within a game. And so here I am playing with the design. This is Adobe Fresco again, because once I hit that design I said I'm already in the app that's going to help me put it out into Illustrator. Then I can have those layers that are going to help me to create the final artwork. I like drawing my gorilla brown, but the silverbacks, they're like gray or something. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm still playing around with that. And so here goes the elements. I've redrawn the elements. I've changed my art style, made it simpler. And I think I messed up right here because the pencil is behind his thigh, and that's not how it should go. And so now I'm testing the ideas of, well, can he swing this way? Can he swing that way? Can he lean forward? It does not look good, but I'm still playing around with it. And then I did all the different drawings and stacked them on top of each other and see if they fit within that box, because during the game it has to be able to interact with the next asset. So it's a lot of testing that goes on. So then here's where I finally I play around with the design to see if it's going to work for me. But because this is a story also driven game, I created a coloring book, and I'm working on a comic book for it. And so now we're kind of getting on a tangent here. And then there's it's called Pencil Wars. There goes the Art Life is the name of the game and the comic, but then the chapter is called Pencil Wars. And so that was the cover idea. And then there goes the gorilla. And so now, because it's a comic, I can go really crazy with it. Anybody seen Moon Girl and the dinosaur? Yeah. So when you look at the animation, it's like, oh, that's so cute. And then you see the comic, like, whoa, like that is insane. I love both of them. And so then there goes Penny. And so you see the pencil going through her shoulders because you can see through the layers. But once I add the color, boom, now the pencils are behind her. And as I'm adding different elements to the cover drawing, and then I export it to Illustrator just for fun, because I'm not finished. The eyes are missing here, the teeth, and then all the layers are not in there. But I used Adobe Illustrator and generative AI just to do the background. Just like, oh, let me just throw a background in it. Not keep it or not, I don't know. But I don't like drawing backgrounds, and so I was like, oh, thanks AI, I appreciate that. All right, and then I'm still playing with the gorilla. So now I'm making him a little tougher, because the comic, I can do a lot more with the comic than I can do with the game. And there he is. This one has an ad on it because that's a Medibang and it's free. but you can pay to get the ads off, and I ain't paid. Yeah. So anyways, basically the app workflow is sketching in Fresco. You can sketch in Photoshop if you're inclined because you're happier with Photoshop. And when you do that, make sure you save as a cloud. Save your file to the cloud. Once you save to the cloud, if you have Fresco, then you can open Fresco on a Surface or iPad, and then go ahead and have access to that file. That's what's important. But once you're in Fresco, that's when you use the vector brushes, because then it'll be scalable artwork that you can open and edit in Adobe Illustrator and export to whatever you want. Now, we were talking about alternatives. What can we do that help us in this process and it's not Adobe? A lot of people don't like Adobe. And, I've been getting a complimentary Creative Cloud account for a while, membership for years, because I'm kind of engaged a lot. And, but I get it, $600 a year, whatever. I use like 5 or 6. I use Audition, Premiere, Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, Fresco, and a couple others out constantly. So even if I was paying for it, it's part of my business. But there are a lot of other apps. So there we go. Let me see. Did I open that one? Yeah, the apps. The question earlier was, are there any other apps that sync your projects? And the first one that I mentioned was Medibang. But it doesn't do, Medibang is not in here. Crazy. Okay. Medibang does not have vector. So there's no vectors in Medibang. So the best thing to do with Medibang, and here they are talking about the new app. The best thing to do about Medibang is that in any program, including Procreate, Affinity, and so on, is to draw big. Go bigger. Start with a bigger file size or document size that you're going to need. So that way you can always go down in size and it still looks sharp and clean. What you don't want to do is have to stretch it out and then it looks pixelated and bad design. Now there's a lot of links, so let me go over what I shared with you today. I gave you a sticker that says Vector Maestros. On the blog of Vector Maestros is this link that takes you to Visual Artworks, or you can just go to visualartworks.com and the blog. It has all of this in here. It has a ton of links that you can get in touch with me. Check out my weekly live streams. And there's the Sketch of Vector playlist. I do have it in here. Let me see. Did that work? Yes, there it is. Okay, I did one good thing. So all the information is here. Those are my live streaming. What is this? Well, yeah. Go back. Okay. You can check out more of what I do and who I am, and then my one-on-one workshops. However, everything that I outlined here, I have a video, I have a process somewhere, or you can always shoot me a question. Say, hey, Dan, can you explain this part with that part? And if you join me on the live streams, no requirement, it's not required. There's no charge for that. They are free. It is at 10 a.m. on Mondays. And you can join me in the Discord, get in my ear, ask me a question. Now I'll answer it live on the stream and then show the process for that. Or you can chat me in the Behance or YouTube and I'll see the comment and I can always respond to that. But basically, the process is always the same. I share a lot of it and I try different apps all the time, including Android. And I have my Surface phone here, my Surface Duo. Too bad it's no longer supported. Microsoft. In any case, but it's still beautiful, and you can draw with it with the Surface Pen. Oh, like you can draw with your phone right now with Procreate Pocket or High Paint, and at least start the sketches. You don't have to have any particular type of device, and so that's what I go through in my live streams to show off how we can use other devices depending on what you have to do what you want to get you started going there. But unfortunately, the Adobe has the space locked in for some of that Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Fresco, and so most of my streams are going to include some aspect of ending up there. Do we have any questions that I can answer right now? So there are very few brushes, and that's because Adobe is behind the times. But when it comes to vector, there's very few brushes, and that's okay because I'm mostly looking for that clean, sharp look. See, So there's not too many adjustments that I'm going to make to it because I need that to be clean. So no matter what size, I can print it the size of this wall and it's still going to look clean. So I'm not looking for all the effects on that brush. And so when we look at the brushes, here's all the brushes. And when it comes to vector brushes, so you have the basic, which is the round, the taper, flat, and so on. And let me just start a new layer here, just so we can see. There we go. So there goes the basic round. But it responds to pressure, and that's what you want. Now there are settings to them right here on the bottom left. Let me grab that and click it. There you go. And so there's pressure dynamics, velocity dynamics, shape and outline, and so on, including where is it? Is it stylus pressure? What is it that they call that when it fixes your line? Let me see. There you go. Yeah. I turned that off. I don't care about that. You know, like I said, I've been doing tattoos for 20 years. I have pretty good steady hand. And so I want the line to show up the way I drew it. Don't fix it for me. I turned that off on Medibang and on Procreate. I turned those off because you'll draw the line and then there's like a little flash. Like, who did that? No, I did that on purpose. And so yeah, so I don't change anything, much of anything except for velocity. I do turn that off because when you draw slow, it does this line. When you draw fast, let me see where it goes. It changes the size. Okay, there, I turned it off. And I don't like it. So I turn it off and I only keep the pressure. So that way, however much I'm pressing, that's on me. I don't have any protector, screen protector, nothing. It's the glass. It's the regular Apple Pencil tip, but I do have a rubber grip so that it's easy to hold. One thing you want to do is draw flat on the table or have some kind of stand. I could have used this. And so I have this, and usually I have that on my desk like that, and I have the iPad sitting here to give me support. So it's at an angle. I forgot all about it. So that way you're resting your elbows, you're resting your wrist, and just smoothly let gravity help you out. You don't want to sit there and push hard to get the pressure going because after a while your fingers are gonna hurt. Your wrist is gonna hurt, your elbow, and it's like, what happened? What was I doing? It's like, well, you were watching TV for 3 hours and you were like this. And so that's what happens. And so no, you want to be able to be free and don't exert a lot of pressure in your fingers. But yes, that's it. That's pretty much for these brushes. My favorite one is the taper, except that it gets out of control. So Adobe has provided a couple extra ones, including the G Pen. Ain't nothing but a G Pen, baby. There you go. Mapping pen. And I love the mapping pen is the best one I like. And of course, you can still change. There's the stabilization. No, that's a paint reference. Okay. There we go. Pressure, dynamics, and I keep adjusting it so that the line weight doesn't change dramatically. You know, I want to press enough to just change it enough, but I will always go here to change the line weight and get the size that I'm looking for. But that's all you have. Like when it comes to pixels, you got tons, man. Look at all this. And then if you download the Mega Pack by Kyle T. Webster, that's 400. Let's see, what does it say right there? 439 brushes. Whew, who got time for that? You spend more time. It's like curating a music playlist. You spend more time getting 2 hours of music together before you know it. Your 2 hours of drawing is up. Well, I guess I'll draw later. Anyways, that's my answer. You're welcome. Anybody else? I saw another hand earlier, but no. Yes. Okay. Yes. So it wasn't always like this. Oh, yes, you can. Ooh, yes. Now, before Fresco, before the iPad, in the desktop, we used the Cintiq and other display devices. And so let me just start a new document because it'll be easier. Oh, yeah, there we go. And so what we used to do is use one of the use the paintbrush on desktop, and then pick your brush style, and then boom, there you go, right? However, depending on the computer you had, it starts to run slow because there's a lot of processing power going on. And I never had fancy computers, so I hated it. And so then I developed my own brushes so that way I would get the drawing styles that I wanted. Then magically the blob brush happened in desktop. Oh snap! Oh yes, yes. And so then that responds to pressure. And so I like Illustrator because of the scalability. I like the pen tool because I can control exactly where my line goes. But eventually you want that organic look to your drawing. You want the little crooked lines, right? Because now it looks like an actual drawing than if you're using the pen tool to then draw out the anchor points, and now it looks too clinical, too clean. So when the blob brush came along, I was very happy. I was super happy. But there was no Illustrator on the iPad to take advantage of the pencil. And now, a long time ago, in the regular iPad, Adobe had Adobe Ideas and Adobe Line, and those were vector apps, but they had no pressure sensitivity because the iPad did not have a dedicated pen yet. When the iPad Pro came out, Adobe created Adobe Photoshop Sketch and Adobe Illustrator Draw. Adobe Photoshop Sketch was for sketching and drawing on the iPad, and it responded to pressure, and it had a separate app for the vector, and it responded to pressure. And so that's when you really got a chance to focus only on drawing, and that's what I really like. Illustrator, Photoshop are nice on the desktop, but before you even start drawing, there's a ton of menus, a ton of things you need to adjust, clean up, organize. And I'm like, well, I just want to draw. Can I just draw? And that's where Fresco and those other apps in the beginning came in, because you don't have to worry about nothing. Just open up your app. All right, let's start a new app, a new thing. Boom, boom, create. There we go. And look, I'm already here. Okay, let me start sketching. All right, let me start with boom, boom. What did I say? I like the mapping pen. There you go. And now I'm drawing. And look, they created the layer automatically as I started drawing. And I'm just focused on drawing. Forget everything else. And because it's going to be vector, you can resize it and not lose any detail along the way. So I don't have to worry about whether it's a 12 by 12, 6 by 6, or whatever that wall is. As long as I can stretch it out, I'm happy. And so that's why I like Fresco, because you can just focus on the drawing and worry about the rest later, because I already have the assets. And that's how, when you're working with a game, that's really what's important, is can you have all these different drawings to fit in this size? And so you only worry about the size of the artboard. I want it to be square. All right, go inches. Oh, there goes a square right there. Thank you. Click OK. Got it. And now it's a square. So whatever I draw has to fit right here. Those are my requirements. All right, I can do that. Does that help? All right, welcome. Anybody else? How we looking? All right, cool. Check me out. Like I said, follow whenever you get a chance. I know I'm live during the daytime at 10 a.m. That's on purpose because that's my work day. But that means some people, that's when they're working. But if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, if you find me, you can get onto the Discord. It's free. And then drop in some questions. If I don't answer, somebody else answer. We have a lot of artists who are hanging out with us who are very proficient in many different apps. And we like to share resources and give feedback on the art that you post. And if you're don't have a portfolio online, Behance is perfect because it's free. And you can just throw as many projects as you want up there. Behance is amazing. And there's all kinds of live streams, not just mine, a bunch of other live streams from other artists and creatives on Behance for every Adobe app out there. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all being here today. Thank you.